Thank you for joining me here at Hawkeye's House of Horrors. I am Hawkeye, and this is the House of Horrors. There's been a bit of a relocation into the house to shoot these videos. I'm now up in the attic at this time. Um, I like it up here. It's nice. Apologies in getting to the next video. We had the flooring done. My father-in-law came and we put the new flooring in up here and everything. So, but anyways, apologies to my buddy I work with, TJ. I said, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm going to get to that this weekend. Well, I'm getting to it now. And that's my next video, film review. And that is for Friday the 13th, part 3, 3D. Kind of like that. But yeah, this was the third film in the series. I've done the other two plus the remake, so on to the third one here. And I'm going to do a review for this one, and this one follows suit well after the first two. This one I find to be a pretty good slasher as well. It's got its pluses, it's got its minuses as well, but in the end, it comes out for me to be a pretty good slasher, and really sets the stage for the further entries in the series with Friday the 13th, as this is where Jason gets his iconic uh, goalie mask or hockey mask that he wears to cover his face. Now, this one was directed by Steve Miner. He had done the previous entry, Friday the 13th, Part 2. He also would go on to do one I really like too, was Warlock. That was, I believe, 1989, but he's done other horror films as well. Now, the screenplay to this film was done by Martin Key Trozer, who went on to write Friday the 13th Part 5, a new beginning, the fifth entry, as well as Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, another fifth one, The Toy Maker, which I did see. That was with the late great Mickey Rooney. Interesting, he was in that. Um, and as well as his wife, Carol Watson. So he went on to write Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. I will certainly get to that one, as the rest of the Friday the 13th films. Um, and she did the story for Meatballs Part 2, comedy. I haven't seen that one, I swear, since I was a kid, way back in the 80s or early 90s. But she did the story for that as well. So they definitely worked on sequels, the husband and wife team. Um, as well, he didn't get any credit for this as well, but there was Petru de Squee, Petru Paul de Squee, Paul de Squee. Sorry, trying to pronounce that correctly. But he was brought in after the first draft um, uh, to do some writing and on the script. So he was a screenwriter as well. Now, this film was shot in 3D. Um, Now, at the time, there were some other films shot in 3D as well. So this wasn't sort of a one-off. There were others at the time through 1982, 1983. That generally, I think there were horror films like Jaws 3 comes to mind as well. Amityville 3 or Amityville 3D, another one. There were always like the third entries. Interesting, but this one definitely is head and shoulders above. I think all the other ones that I've seen in this small 3D craze that happened in the early 80s there, um, as definitely Jaws 3 and 3D and Amityville 3D, to me, they were not good movies. Amityville 3D it had hope, but yeah, no. Didn't really work out, but this one, as I said, was better than the others, in my opinion, of the 3D craze. Now, it was distributed by Paramount. Of course, they're back again to make some more Mean Green. And it was released on August Friday the 13th, 1982 to theaters. And it had a budget of $2.2 million. So each film, you've seen a more budget coming into these films due to how much money Paramount was making at the box office with these films. So they're, funneling a little bit more money into the sequels. So in today's money, 2025, that'd be $7.4 million of a budget. And yes, once again, it hit a grand slam at the box office as it made just under 122.9 million dollars at the box office. That's in today's money, 2025. I do believe so. They did exceptionally well at the box office. No surprise, the other two had as well. And maybe to some people out there, here's a little bit of trivia about this film. This was the film that was able to finally, a film that was able to finally do a dethrone E.T. at the box office as the number one film. It was this one here that ended up doing it. And it was also the second biggest horror film of 1982. The other, well, that was Poltergeist, which I certainly will be doing in the future, a review for that one. Um, so yeah, this was a very big film at the box office. Now I like the poster. The other two Friday the 13th films, no problem. I really don't I don't think I had a problem with really any of the posters of the films that I can think of off the top of my head. Um I don't know, maybe Jason X is a little too much going on there, but I guess when I like the poster, although nobody really does die in the shower, but it's definitely got that psycho vibe going with Jason stabbing into the shower, giving you the 3D with the knife going into the shower. Um, so there you have it. And to let you know, the person that is in the shower in the film is Tracy Savage, who plays Debbie. Um, Interesting to note as well, she, after her acting career, she became a news reporter after her days of acting. So that's an interesting note as well. So I will jump into the story here and I'm going to try and get along. There's a lot of things I want to cover about this film. Um, so originally in this story, or for Friday the 13th Part 3, they were going to bring back Jenny Field from Part 2. It's too bad it never happened. She is certainly, I think, my favorite final girl of the Friday the 13th series, and I've heard that said by many other people as well. She was going to come back, but the film was going to be kind of like Halloween 2. So it was kind of, in my opinion, not that this one is, but it just kind of follows suit with the other ones. But it was going to be kind of like a Halloween 2 ripoff. Where she's in the hospital and now Jason goes to the hospital and starts killing people off. So that's pretty much exactly like Halloween 2. Um, but anyways, as well in the story, it was gonna be her and Ted, played by Stu Charno from the previous one. He was a tall guy, had the handheld video games he played. I liked his character. He was kind of goofy, but a good goofy. Um, Stuff like that. So he was going to come back too, and they were going to track down Jason in a final confrontation. And I suppose I think go back to Crystal Lake because kind of need to go back there. I think to make it a Friday the 13th film. That never happened. That's okay. But within this film, just like the last one, and it was, hey, I gotta say it again. It's not one of the things I liked about the Friday the 13th films is not just a quick recap. It's just, okay, we're going to watch the final ending or the ending of the previous film again, and that'll be our setup where it's like, okay, like it kind of, if you want to sit down and do like, watch a bunch of them in order and stuff, you might have a little bit of a deja vu going on watching some of these films as you watch the same stuff over and over again. So we see the ending of part two at the beginning of part three. And then we finally see Jason slithering away. Ooh, I guess he didn't die. But since the film's 95 minutes, we didn't, like, really, in my opinion, they didn't really need to put this in here to pump up the running time. It doesn't need it. But they put it in anyways. Um, but after this, though, we do have, I'm going to say it, a bit of a nice credit sequence that's different than any of the other Friday the 13th films. And there are things in this film that are different than any of the others, which is really good, but I'm really glad they didn't stick with it. So it kind of keeps this one fresh, if you will, or different. Some may not maybe look at it like that, like I do, but it keeps it its own film, really, in that sense of some of the different stuff going on. Um, so we have the credits like you shooting out to the camera, a la Superman, I'm gonna say. Um, to some through the fog, which is cool. I love fog. You can never overuse fog, in my opinion. To some funky ass music, and I'm gonna get to that later. And it's a Friday the 13th theme, but it's funky now. Like we're gonna do some dancing here. Anyways, as kind of as usual, you have an attractive group of people. Other than maybe Shelley, we're gonna get to him too. They're headed to the lake for a weekend getaway, and this happens the day after Friday the 13th Part Two. So it's actually Saturday the 14th, but we already have a movie called that. But interesting, this is actually the day after that. Um, and of course, Jason isn't dead, as I said, we see him slithering away from the ending of part two. Um, but he's here to create some more brutal havoc to these campgoers, they're at a cabin with a barn, and we go into the barn a lot at this cabin. So yeah, it's not strong in the story department, but hey, how many Friday the 13th films really are, or sometimes when they really get in strong into the story, it actually takes away, in my opinion, from that Friday the 13th feel. That's not the strengths of those films. It's not in the story. Um, but the final girl in this film is Chris, is her name. She's played by the attractive Dana Kimmel. She is the final girl. Um, and I don't know, because like I kind of hear both sides of the coin, maybe a little bit, about her as a final girl. I like her. Um, of the first three, in my opinion, she's better than Alice as a final girl. In that final act, you see her really coming back at Jason with weapons and everything like that. So it's cool, and it's not sort of just, there's a machete at my foot. Maybe I'll pick it up and swing it at him. It's beyond that. I think she's really trying to survive, and she's, doing a good job at it. So I give her definitely credit as a final girl. But the thing is, with her character, she does have a past with Jason. It's a weird one because it's never done like this again with Jason. Um, but we see she's talking to her boyfriend about her past with Jason. We see him chasing her through the woods a few years back. And the way the story goes and the way that Chris is reacting to the whole thing is I'm almost pretty sure Jason may have sexually molested her. Um, or really, really scared the bejesus out of her or something like that. But she's playing the rape victim quite well here. And it's strange as Jason never used sex that I remember in his kills, No, he was just there to be the machine, if you will, like be the killer. Um, so it's interesting with this character how that was. put in there, or maybe I'm reading it there and it's not supposed to be there, or it was there and then taken out. I don't know, but that's what I get with her. And yeah, it was her boyfriend Rick, played by Paul Kratka. She's telling the story too about this. So I don't know. That's just my opinion on her and their past and everything like that. So, but as I said, this is the one where Jason gets his iconic goaltender's mask or the hockey mask. Now I read, and I'm gonna say I don't think so, whatever, but they said this was supposedly based on a 1950s Detroit Red Wings mask. And my question is, who was that? Because I'm pretty sure it was Terry Sawchuk was the goalie for the Detroit Red Wings in the 50s, and I'm pretty sure he never wore a mask during the 50s. He did, I know at the end of his career when he got to Toronto and LA after that, and I think it was New York Rangers after that, he was wearing a mask, but that was the 60s. That's the following decade. So I don't know whose mask it was, and as I wrote down, Sawchuk did not wear a mask until 1962. So, hey, was it maybe the 1960s you were basing it on, not the 1950s? Wow, maybe I'm really nitpicking here, but it's just like that's what I read, and I'm just saying I don't think that's correct. Anyways, this film, I'm going to say this, may very well have some of the worst acting in the series. There's a lot of pretty poor telegraphing of lines, acting in general. Almost from almost every single actor in it, where it's like, ooh, you couldn't do another take of and try that one again. Um, but yeah, some pretty bad acting. And it's interesting because I know, like, for example, Dana Kimmel, I've seen her in other films like Lone Wolf McQuade, with Chuck Norris, and Sweet 16, another um, early 80s slasher. It's okay. Um, she does a better job in the acting department in those films, I think, than she does in this one. So it may have been, I'm not blaming Steve Miner, but I'll get to that here too. But I think there was a lot more concentration put within the shot or within getting that 3D shot correct that they're looking for, than, hey, how are the actors performing? Now, within that vein, the best performance in the film is without a doubt Richard Brooker, who plays Jason. He also has no lines, but to me, by far, he plays the best performance in the film. And it's interesting to people that are not Friday the 13th films, they always scratch their head and they're like, I don't get it. Why is his performance better than this other guy's performance playing Jason? He's got no lines. Well, I I'll get into what I like about Jason or Richard Brooker as Jason. And absolutely, there's differences, and they were written differently as well as this is early Jason, so this is different than say part six onwards of Jason. It's a different type of Jason. Um, but I find Richard Brooker is quite menacing as Jason, but you can tell he's got like a thin torso on him or a thin waistline, but he's got these big hulking shoulders and he stands tall and he looks menacing wearing that mask and just not always, but lumbering around. And he runs in this. And at one point, Chris stabs him in the leg with a knife, and you can hear him like screaming in agony, pulling the knife out. So, I definitely prefer that to the, like teleport Jason, who just he's like walking behind you and then he's in front of you and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. Yeah, it got pretty silly, but I'll get to those films later. But I really enjoyed Richard Brooker as Jason, and I would put him as high. This is right here, right now. Maybe it'll change when I see all these films again, but I would put him as my number two Jason of all time, behind Ted White, who did part
Uh,
four. And the
uh,
only other actor I can come up with where I was like, okay, she's not telegraphing anything, she's doing good in her role, was Vera, played by Catherine Parks. I don't think she did a poor job with her performance. Now, I'm gonna say probably maybe every other one beyond maybe Harold. I don't know. Um, Boy, there was some bad acting going on in those other performances. But hey, that's not the strength of this particular film. But in the end, that's maybe why one of the reasons maybe why it's down the list, and people don't hold this one up quite as high as some of the other Friday the 13th films. But this one's definitely on the correct side of the fence for me, as in I'm gonna say this is a thumbs up. Very good. I enjoy it. Um, but this film really continues on some of the Friday the 13th tropes or Friday the 13th things that go on in the film, or the beginning of it. Like, as I said, with the hockey mask, it happens, starts here. Um, Another one that happens in Friday the 13th films is, well, I'm going to just say it, watching someone hanging a dump on the toilet. And it's usually a guy, and it usually means, okay, this guy is about to die. And we don't get it once. We see this twice in this movie. Um, Pretty funny. But I'm gonna go through, actually what I'll do, I'll get to him, but there are some characters in this film that I'm gonna put in maybe my own personal Friday the 13th Hall of Fame or shame, whatever. They're memorable to me, whether it be good or bad. Even if it's bad, it's a good bad. Like, it's memorable. So like they are victims that I remember from Friday the 13th, and we get a few of them here, which I really like. And I'm gonna go through them. First, we have Harold. I mentioned him, played by Steve Susskind. He likes to eat, or no, not eat. He likes to sneak peanuts, orange juice, and donuts behind his poor wife's back. They own this store out in the country. Um, but a snake literally scares the shit out of him, just so that he can slam some Jack Daniels on the can, or the throne. And as I said, well, it means he's going to die. Yes, he soon dies. Um, and in my opinion, this would have worked better maybe as the pre-credit sequence. Have this. Um, because Jason's in there, you see it, you know it's him. Um, you never see his face, but I think that would have been a good pre-credit sequence, but it's actually what happens right after the credits, when nothing before the credits is something you haven't seen before. But I think that would have worked better, in my opinion, in seeing that. The next character is Shelley. Another one, perhaps for many people, not good reasons, but I don't know, I still like him. The problem with him is he pulls these asshole tricks on people, thinking he thinks they'll think it's funny when it's not funny at all. Um, but when you look inside this character, Shelley, or when I do anyways, I see a good person. There's a good person in there. He just, I don't know. He just pulls these stupid tricks on people. And it's actually him that, in the end, gives Jason his iconic mask as well. And then we have Cheech and Chong. I mean, Chuck and Chili. Wow, these characters are totally influenced by Cheech and Chong, um, which is good for humor, but also bad, is in these like and this is really saying something, I guess, for Friday the 13th characters. They're very one-dimensional, as in their whole like drive in life or in this film is to get stoned, and that's it. Pretty cool or whatever. But it's funny though, because you, for a moment, if you squint, you think Tommy Chong was in a Friday the 13th movie. No, he wasn't. But they're played by David um, Carrot Tatum, sorry, and Rachel Howard. So it's a they're lovers as well, so man and a woman. That's Chuck and Chili. Interesting nickname, Chili. You never find out why her nickname is Chili, but that's her name. And then finally, we have the three bikers. There's Allie, Fox, and Loco, played by Nick Savage, Gloria Charles, and Kevin O'Brien. Um, and just when they show up, this is when Shelly and Vera go to the store. These three bikers are there. They're gonna die. Yeah, and that they do. Um, but yeah, they're memorable because they're. I don't remember characters quite like that in any other Friday the 13th film that I can think of. Further guys on bikes and stuff, but not like, hey, we're bikers. That I can think of. But yeah, um, so yeah, there were some characters I enjoy in this film. Now, as I said, due to the performances, or what didn't help the performances for the actors, um, as I see, or what I read, Miner didn't seem to care or really like that this was going to be shot in 3D, I guess, because of the tight schedule. But Paramount said the film would not be released if the 3D effects weren't good. And it was going to be in 3D, so we need good effects, or come on. That's really what they wanted. So Miner had to kind of lean more into making sure the shots are good, and he didn't have a tremendous schedule to perhaps do some reshoots of some of the bad acting. Where as long as the shot's good, that's what really matters. So. And as I read, it cost $15 million to create the 3D cameras for Paramount for this film. So there was additional costs for sure for this film, but seeing what they raked in, they made that money back. Um, yeah, and as I see, actors voice their performances didn't really matter in comparison into getting the correct or the right 3D shot, and I can tell. There's no doubt I can tell. Yeah, and it creates a different look for the Friday the 13th films, different than any of the other ones, as definitely the shots are overly lit or very bright with a white light, perhaps maybe, to help that 3D shot. I don't even problem with that though, because it's different. It's a new taste, a new look. I don't mind it. So I don't have a problem with that. Some may, but I certainly don't. Um, Personally, if I wanted super realistic looking films, I wouldn't be a huge fan of some of Hitchcock's old films where he's using like a green screen and it's rather obvious, but I'm like, I'm cool with that. That's fine. Um, and Yeah, definitely some of the older films can look rather stagey in comparison to some more modern films, because they aren't on a stage. They're shot on um, not on a stage, like shot within, like for example, this one I think they constructed a barn for the film. It was shot within there, like it was a real barn, I guess. So there you have it. Now, one thing, it's okay. I'd say it probably, in the end, like when looking at the big picture of it all, maybe it does hurt the film a bit. Is um, I've never seen this film in actual 3D. So you've got kind of hokey looking shots in this film that were in 3D in the theater, but it's two-dimensional, um, and you're pretending that it's in 3D. Um, so yeah, that's I guess a problem with the film. Um, Now the music to the film, as was saying earlier, is a different version, much more funky, done by once again Harry Manfredini. He did the music for Friday the 13th. Um, but man, it is funky. I think of Jason dancing, doing the splits, and jumping up before slamming his machete into his victims in this film. It's very funky. I like it. And as I said, I'm glad this is another thing they changed for this film was the music, but they didn't stick with that. They reverted way back to the original and went with that for um, many more films. But I'm glad there's the music as well as the look. There's something different about it that holds it um, into its own film, and I really enjoy that about this film. And I'd like this soundtrack on vinyl. I don't have it. That would be cool. I'd like the original on vinyl too. I think said that in my review for that film. I think it's an underrated score for horror. It's really good. Really brings the emotions out that you're looking for. And then there were some scenes I really liked in this film as well. There's a funny ones. The kids are smoking dope in Chris's van going down the highway, and then look out the back, and there's these cops. There's a couple of them with their cherries flashing and the sirens rolling, anything, and the cops are passing them. So they start eating the dope in the car, and then the cops are gone and realize, oh, we didn't have to do that. That always brings a smile to my face, that scene. Um, Seems like it's out of Cheech and Chong, too. Um, And now there's a slightly different way of showing Jason now, where I remember in the other ones they would show his feet or show his legs before you saw that it was Jason or his mother in the original one. Here you get a full look at him, like his face is always in the dark, or you never get a really good look at his face until the end. Um, but I like that. It's a different look for Jason, done by Miner here. Um, yeah, so his face is clouded in darkness when it shows his whole body. And then two deaths jump out to me that I like more than others in this particular one. First, I'll get into another death that we don't see. It's done off screen. But first, we have Shelley, who is wanting to get it on with Vera. But she shoots him down for reasons she has every right to have. She can have yeah, whatever feeling she wants about that. It's her right. So Shelley decides, why don't I scare the shit out of her? That'll make everything better, right? That'll make everything good. I don't know. No, not at all. But it's cool because he's in the water and she's at the dock with her legs sticking over, and he grabs her leg. And pretty sure we literally have the theme of Jaws playing, which is kind of cool too. But he scares her and then he takes off. But we don't see Shelley die. Some people may be really royally pissed off with that. They really want to see this character get pay his due. We do not. Um, but we do get to see Vera die. And to me, in my opinion, I know all the Shelley haters out there, you want to see this guy die, but I think it's much more effective done this way in seeing Vera die, because we don't know Shelley's dead when she dies. Um, so, and it's much more. stronger in creating this horror monster that Jason has become. Um, One of the biggest horror villains of the 80s was Jason Voorhees. Certainly along with like Freddy Krueger and of course Michael Myers, Pinhead, just to name a few. But he's right up there on that pinnacle of horror villains. And it doesn't all start here, but it's the next level or what we remember Jason, his look and everything happens in this scene. It's more effective to see her die than to see Jason kill Shelly and then slip the mask on and then know, okay, he's wearing a mask. Where in this, he shows up um, and kills Vera with the spear gun and he's wearing the mask. And she thinks it's Shelly. It's not. It's Jason Voorhees. And yeah, I think that's a much more effective way in bringing that out in that character. And very well done. Now, the other death scene is one by Andy, played by Jeffrey Rogers. He's walking on his hands, and Jason comes down and ooh, slices him in two. Yeah, right between the legs. Great shot there. Very good. And then there's another one which was good too. But even though Debbie's death is a trying to recreate Kevin Bacon's death from the original, because it's got a total nod to Tom Savini, who did the effects in the original film. She's reading a Fangoria magazine about Tom Savini right there when a spear comes out through her neck as she's laying on the hammock in the room. So that one's good too, but it's more of a nod to Tom Savini, which I'm cool with. Savini's amazing um, in the field, so that's cool too. But one death that just didn't work for me, especially as time goes by, it kind of gets worse and worse, is the one of Rick. It's good in some aspects. It shows how strong Jason is. Rick is a big man. He looks like he could play football. He's a very big man, but Jason has no problem uh, handling him. And he just squeezes his head, and an eyeball pops out. And you can swear there's like a string on the eyeball, shooting it towards the camera. That's not very effective. Sorry. Looks really cheesy. That doesn't work for me. But anyways, it's good at showing one thing but not the other. But I do like the final battle between Chris and Jason. As I said, Chris really is trying to fend Jason off with anything she can find. And of course, they were probably thinking this was the final Friday the 13th film, although, yeah, not if they make money. You know that. But yeah, I like their final battle. Um, but it's the ending I'm not a big fan of, like part two and part one. Um, Here they're rehashing the original, and now Jason's mother is popping out while Chris is in the canoe to bring her down. She would have no idea who Jason's mother is. Be Yeah, I don't think so. She never talked about her. Maybe she would, but I don't. She didn't even know who the person was that chased her in the woods, and that was Jason. So I don't think she would then know who this mysterious guy's mother is. Yeah. Now, originally they wanted her to go run into the cabin, and Jason comes out and literally cuts her head off. Um, I gotta say, I would like that ending a lot more than the ending we get here. It's a rehash. Now, the film was shot between March and May of 1982, so the wasn't a very long period of time for shooting, that is for sure. And there were two novelizations of this film. One was in 1982 when the film was released by Michael Avallone, and the other was in 1988 by Simon Hawke, who actually wrote the first one, the second one, and later would come back to do the sixth in the series as well. So that's it. That's Friday the 13th, part three. Big thumbs up from me, or I really enjoy it. I'm not saying it's a must see, but if you're this far in the series, hey, keep watching. You'll probably enjoy it. And yeah, did show it. There it is again, my box set of 1 through 8. It's in here, of course. Friday the 13th, uh, part 3. So there you have it. That's it. I can't wait to bring you my next review. But until next time, stay scared out there, people.